What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're continuing our look at the teams that have been announced for the Six Nations. Today's on about Scotland. Now, the Scotland team, over the past Six Nations, has been slowly building towards something. The team this year that's been announced is looking pretty damn solid. It's looking like a good selection of players. Now, I did the prediction video the other day on the channel, and I think I had Scotland picked to sort of finish about 4th. And looking at the team, I'm wondering whether I've sort of underestimated them a bit, because the Scotland boys are coming out with quite a mega team. I'm really hoping we get to see a step up from Scotland and maybe get a couple of cheeky little wins there. That Scotland-Ireland game is something I'm really beginning to get a bit interested in. So taking a look at the team, as we've done for the other team so far, I have gone through and sort of colour-coded everyone, because I know some people that are new to rugby. A long list of names, not always the most useful thing, so I've colour-coded them in orders that you can sort of see who plays where. If anyone knows why teams put out teams like this in just a mishmash order, make sure you drop it down in the comments, because I really want to know, because it just makes it harder for everyone to know who's sort of been picked for a team. And as always, if there's anything I've sort of missed off or not mentioned in the video, make sure to drop it down in the comments section, because it's always helpful for you guys to chime in with any information you have. So, team announced a week and a bit ago now. No injuries as far as I can tell. Scotland are one of the few so far in terms of these squad announcements where it doesn't seem to have been any major injuries along the way. Like I said, if there is, drop it down in the comments. We can sort of update it as the video goes on. So, taking a look at the props then that have been announced for this team: Bergen Batty, Ferguson, WP Now, Schoeman, Sebastian, and Rory Sutherland. There's a good wealth of experience. There's a good wealth of caps, a lot of knowledge base in this Scotland team. That's a good set of props going on in there. Nice to see Rory Sutherland back. He's had his own little drips and drabs with injury and stuff. Do you put him in to start off with? To me, Schoeman's been playing so well for the last year and a half. We saw him, was it last Six Nations, where he had to basically play the full 80 minutes? The man still running at the end of it. He's a big boy to keep going. Rory Sutherland back in the team, though, was a real booster to them. Return of other big names as well. WP Nell getting back in the squad as well. Nice to see. Xander Ferguson, is still holding out strong. Just penalty count for him. Just cut those penalty counts down. Could be in the team. It's a good set of props. I think they'll be happy with that. Hooker department, 4 hookers named, which is interesting. Most teams have gone for 3 so far that we've looked at. Ewan Ashman, Fraser Brown, Dave Cherry, and George Turner. Again, solid set of hookers. This is some good depth here to choose from. You've got experience, you've got age, you've got youth, you've got speed. You've basically got a different hooker for every game you want to play over the Six Nations. Really nice to see. We did talk about the England team yesterday, and that their hooker department's looking a little bit lax at the minute, so having the strength here in this front row for Scotland looking pretty good. In the lock department, Gilchrist, both Gray brothers, Cameron Henderson, and Sam Skinner. So 4 of the 5 there, your staples you've seen in the Scotland team for a long time. Both the Gray brothers like getting involved. Grant Gilchrist and Sam Skinner, 2 of those boys that fly under the radar a little bit in terms of how hard they actually work. They do play very well. Cameron Henderson is a name I don't really know. He's the uncapped lad coming in. Gone back and had a bit of a look at him. He's 22 years old. But he does have 11 caps with the Scotland under-20s. So had a bit of international experience in that under-20s realm. Not got into, the big boy international scene yet. So nice to see him. We'll have to keep an eye out for him as he's going. Sort of honourable mentions, maybe missing out here. Scott Cummings is out injured, so we won't be seeing him. But, Cameron Henderson, nice to go in there. I think the rest of the lock department's looking really strong for them. And then finally, in that back row, Josh Bayliss, Andy Christie, Luke Crosby, Jack Dempsey, Matt Ferguson, Jamie Ritchie, and Hamish Watson. Again, mega depth. A lot of big lads in this team. This forward pack for Scotland is looking good. It is one of the things every year we talk about. Where is Scotland going to finish? Will it be, 3rd, 4th, or 5th? There's a good team in here, man. They could really look to try and boost, maybe get a couple of big wins this year. There's some real target games. If they can beat England at home, that would be a real positive for Scotland. And then they go on to play, I think it's Wales and Ireland are up in Edinburgh. There's the chance for them to get some sneaky little wins in here and build towards a solid World Cup. That Ireland game is going to be a real big one for them. No Rory Darge, which was a shame. He had such a good Six Nations last year. It's such a shame to see him missed out. Is out with an injury, as far as I'm aware, so unfortunately we're not going to be seeing him, but some good depth in that forward pack for Scotland. On to the backs then, the scrum half. George Horn, Ali Price, and Ben White. A couple of people have been surprised to see George Horn get in the side. I don't know why. George Horn is good. I'm personally really looking forward to seeing a bit more from Ben White. I'm really liking him when he makes that impact into the game. Ali Price has been changing his game. I think since we saw him go off with the Lions, I think Ali Price has changed a bit of the style he plays. He's doing a bit more stuff on his own now, which I quite like. But Ben White, man, he gets involved. He just, as soon as he gets on the pitch, he's looking to just pick, go, break through the little lines stuff. A real bit of a nightmare for defensive setups. I want to see a bit more of Ben White. I'm hoping he gets a bit of game time over the Six Nations. In the fly half shirt then, a bit of a mix-up here. Adam Hastings out again with an injury. That lad just never quite being able to have that consistent game time with Scotland. So in terms of the ones that have been announced, of course, Blair Kinghorn can fill in there. I'm not sure if he's been named for fly half or to play wing or fullback. They seem to be chucking him in that fly half shirt. People have been a bit hit or miss, whether they like him or not. I think he's grown into it a bit as he got on throughout last year, but some people still think there's a better picks than him. Finn Russell in there. Will he have one too many whiskies and annoy the coach? Who knows if he'll even get any game time, but hopefully he does, because we always like a bit of Finn Russell. And then another name I didn't know here, Ben Healy, who was surprisingly for me, wasn't someone I knew coming up through the Scottish ranks. The reason I didn't know that, I had to go back and look over him a little bit, because he's moving to Scotland very soon and actually has 8 caps with the Ireland under-20s, moving over to Scotland, moving into the Scottish clubs, trying to get himself in, and sort of just thrown straight into the Scotland international team. So making the most of the switching teams move that you're allowed to do now. So we'll look forward to see a bit of Ben Healy get into this team. In the centre partnerships then, we have Chris Harris, Hugh Jones, McDowell, Cameron Redpath, and Sione Tuipulotu. You won't be seeing anything from Rufus McLean. If you don't know about that, we won't get into it too much in this video, but you can go Google that, but you won't be seeing him in a Scotland jersey anytime soon. In terms of some names here, Hugh Jones coming back in, I'm really glad to see. I really like Hugh Jones. He saved one of my fantasy leagues back when we first started the channel. Came on, had a superb game, got me a lot of points as my captain. Sione Tuipulotu's playing well at the minute, so nice to see him in there as well. Cameron Redpath, I want to see a bit more from. People have spoke about him so much leading up to him getting that first cap. And he feels like he only gets to play 20 minutes in a game if we ever get to see him. So I'm really hoping he avoids the injuries. We get to see him for a bit of game time across the Six Nations. And then finally in the back three, then Stuart Hogg. Who else is going to be in there? There's always got to be Stuart Hogg in there. Sean Maitland, McConaughey, Ollie Smith, Kyle Stain, and Duhan van der Merwe. So no Darcy Graham. Bit of a shame. He went out with an injury. He's been in good form. I think they'll miss him. I know we have some big Darcy fans that get involved in the comment section, so going to be a shame for him to miss out there. Stuart Hogg, of course, going to be in there. Duhan van der Merwe, they're the boys you want to be seeing. Sean Maitland coming back in. Haven't seen Sean Maitland for a little while, and the last time I did see him in a Scotland jersey, I thought he played relatively well, so nice to see him there. Kyle Stain flew under the radar. I remember his sort of debut. Didn't he get like a hat-trick on his debut or something? He had a fantastic start, but he sort of faded out a little bit, so nice to see him back in this team. And then McConaughey, another name for me, was sort of flying under the radar, not one I know a little bit, had to go and look him up. Again, uncapped for Scotland, but used to play for England and played sevens. So again, two people here making the most of this being able to switch over teams. But sevens players come into the Union typically are ones to watch out for. There's a good list of players that have come over from sevens, got into 15s Union, and have really displayed a good amount of pace and fitness, play that full game. So looking forward to see what he brings to this Scotland team. Overall, this is a good Scotland team, right? There's big caps, there's big players, there's talent in this team. Man, being a Scotland supporter is got to be a bit tough at the minute to not watch these lads winning a lot of games. There's such a good list of players. I feel like maybe these are going to be the ones that upset my prediction video a little bit. So going up against England then, who gets into my starting 15 to go in against England? In terms of your props, I think I'm still leaning towards Schoeman, and I think I would still stick out with Xander Fagerson if he just keeps down the penalty count. Do like Xander Fagerson on the pitch. I like what he does with the ball in hand. I think I would still be sticking with those two as my props. Personally, I quite like George Turner. George Turner running with the ball in hand. There's a couple that do the same thing, but I quite like George Turner. I think he's got good consistency, but also just speed with the ball in hand. It's nice to have a hooker who can actually run and have some good speed, put some pressure on them. The England hookers are low on caps this year. A couple of injuries have come their way as well since the initial squad announcement. So lineouts and scrums, Big chance for Scotland to get some sneaky little combat wins in there. In terms of the lock department then, for me, it's got to be Grant Gilchrist and Johnny Gray. I think it's a good partnership that works well. Johnny Gray's really good, man. And Grant Gilchrist, like I said before, doesn't get a sort of the acknowledgement that he does for the amount of games he plays well in. I think he's a really good player. That would be my lock department. Back row, man. Good depth in here. Jamie Ritchie at 6, Hamish Watson 7, and Matt Fagerson at 8 for me. I think that's such a solid back row. Jamie Ritchie's also the captain, name by the way. I don't think I mentioned that so far, but Scotland like to have their captain and 2 vice captains per game anyway, so there's a lot of leadership qualities throughout this team. Scrum half. I mean, Ali Price is starting, isn't he? I want to see Ben White start. I would pick Ben White. I want to see more from him. I want that lad to get into some big international games and show off what he can bring to it. I already said I think Portfleet should start for England. Put Ben White on youth, speed, energy. That's what I'd be going for. Your fly half department, I'm still leaning towards Finn Russell. I like the wildcard angle of Finn Russell. I think he's a good player. I'd go for Finn Russell there. Centre partnerships. I would go for Chris Harris and Hugh Jones. I'm just really happy to see Hugh Jones there. Can play. I mean, a lot of these centres actually are a little bit comfortable with playing inside and outside centre. Check Hugh Jones on an inside centre. Chris Harris on the outside. 1 defensive, 1 attacking. That's the way I'd play it. You've got a bit of defence on your own side, but also you just throw Hugh Jones out there just to run rampant in terms of the attacking game. And then in your back 3, I think you go Duhan van der Merwe left wing, Sean Maitland on the right wing, and Stuart Hogg in that fullback position for me. That'll be my squad for the Scotland team, guys. Make sure you drop down in the comment section your thoughts on the team. Make sure you drop down your own team. Who would make your 1 to 15 to play England? We do, of course, have the Super Brew up on the channel as well. Make sure you are signed up before the Six Nations starts. I hope you've all enjoyed this one today, guys. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.